Well, good morning. How are you this morning? Come on. Had a few storms overnight. The house was shaken with thunder. Didn't have a lot of rain, about a half an inch, I believe, something like that. It's getting really humid, and next week is going to be rather warm, it sounds like. It's supposed to have heat indexes I saw up around 110 towards the end of the week, so it's going to be fun. So the first thing I'm going to do on the FLARESIDE is I'm going to take the grill off and get everything off from in front of the fender so I can get them off. Pretty simple to get the grills off of these things, as I remember, and I'm not sure I remember everything 100% from doing my green truck, but you got to pull these rubber things off. They just pop off. And then there's a bunch of screws around the top. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's one down here under the Ford emblem. And I think that's pretty much all that holds this piece in. So I'm going to go ahead and get started removing the grill. And I'm not going to show removing all these screws, but I'll tell you what screws they are. They're just Phillips head screws. And I'll show you what and where they are when I get done. So as far as this middle section part of the grill, there's just five of these Phillips head screws. Lighting isn't very good right here. 5 of these Phillips head screws. Just pull them out, and then I believe this front section will just come out like so. These little tabs right down here, they fit down in. There's a little slot down here. It's actually got a rubber grommet type thing in it, which I just knocked that one out. And this one's gone, but they just fit down inside this plastic piece. I'll pull you off of here and show you. So right now I've got all these screws removed, and I got the 2 removed out of the top of this. Still need to get to the ones back behind, which I'm going to have to remove the battery, which all this stuff is going to have to come off the fender anyhow. So I removed the negative and the positive cables. Then right down in there is a bolt you have to take out, and that releases that black piece off of your battery, and you can pull your battery out. I don't know what size that really is. I'm using a 5/16 socket on it. It seems to fit. Generally aren't real tight, so I'm just going to pull that out, and then I'm going to pull the battery out. That's a bolt that comes out of that. It might not be a bad idea, and I didn't do it before, but it might not be a bad idea to get some little labels and some plastic bags, put all your bolts and label them. It'll make reassembly a lot easier. I can generally remember what goes where, and if not, I find something to fit it. So that bolt comes out, and this black piece that holds your battery in just pops out of there, and then your battery will come out. Well, in order to get to the nuts that I need to get to, I need to take the battery tray out, which there are 4 10mm screws, I guess you can call them. There's 2 back here against the fender, and then there's 2 down here on a bracket. Wants to be complicated. Then there's another one up here. I'm not sure what size that is. It's smaller than a 10. I'll find out. There's an angled arm that comes up here, and it's got a bolt holding it against the fender, 5/16. It may be metric, and that's what I'm using. Stuff in there, battery tray, which somebody has tied a damn wire to it. Whoever owned this truck before did some fancy wiring. So I'm just going to snip that wire. It used to go to a headlight. I don't even need to snip it. One more connection back here that has a plastic thing that goes through this battery tray. So we'll push that through. Maybe. said than done. I guess I'll just undo this connection since it doesn't want to cooperate. It's the little stuff like this that slow you down, that you don't see and they don't want to cooperate, but just be patient, take your time, have fun with it. It will come apart. You got to remember, this stuff's been stuck together for 20 years. It's kind of got its own mind. Anybody else ever have this trouble? Got it. There's a battery tray. I'm going to put all these bolts right with it. Set it over by the battery. One of these nuts that go on the studs for the back of the headlights is, if you're looking down from here, it's right in that hole right there. And that's an 11 millimeter. So I'm going to take that off, and to be honest, I don't know where the next one is. I just don't remember, but I'll find out when I get that one off. The other one, the little bastard's kind of hidden. If you follow my extension, if you can see in there, back in that hole. You can kind of sort of see it, you can feel it with your finger, and a socket goes on it real easy, but that's where it is. So I'm going to pull those out. It's actually unscrewing out of the headlight, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here in a second. Now actually, after doing this, I'm not sure I had to take the inside one out. I think it connects to the headlight, and it's just this one on the outside here. This nut with attached washer came off. And now all you have to do is just disconnect your wiring. I think the easy you have to do after you pull it out. Quarter turn, they pop out. And then this comes out. Inside one, it did need to come out, but it just spun inside there. It's still stuck into this plastic piece, and it just unscrewed out of the plastic on that housing. So that works. I'm not sure if it's supposed to do that or not. You can take this whole plastic thing out, as I remember, and keep the headlights in it. You have to disconnect the headlight. Which they will come completely out like this. And since it's got the halogen lights in it, try not to touch the damn thing. But I'm gonna go set this on the bench. It's getting frickin' hot in here. I'm gonna go ahead and remove this one. It's just the mirror image of that one over there. And then I'll come in and show you how to take this big whole front plastic section off. This one over here I got undone. I took the washer fluid tub out. There's one nut back here. No, you can't see it. There's one nut right up here. Just loosen that. The other side fits in with a plastic piece and it pulls on out. There's a clamp here that comes from your overflow and the neck on your radiator that you have to take this off. And then it just slips on the connector for your washer fluid down underneath, pulls right out. Not a big deal. I got this all loose. Fender appears to be holding it in though. Pull that out. And ta-da, one broken thing. I'm gonna have to get a new one. And here's that other nut with the washer on it, and I will just put it right back on the stud that it came off of, which is right there. When I did my green truck, this little piece, can't remember what happened. I couldn't get that out. I had a hell of a time getting this out. Finally did, but it wasn't fun. So now to get this big black plastic piece with the headlights in it off, and just have to go around it and look where the bolts are. They're not hard to see. There's got one there, one down there, and just go along the top. I don't think there's anything there. Be the same over on this side. Got one there, one down there. Let's see, there's one there, and one there. And I believe that's it, I think. In addition to the 6 screws that I showed you around the outside of this thing, there's also 4 more that are up inside here. All these I'm using a 5/16 on, seem to be taking them off. I can get these out with an extension and a swivel on this, or you can just use a ratchet with an extension on it. But pretty easy to do, and I'll be removing this shortly. Got 2 more down here towards the bottom. Shoot these wires through, headlights off. And there we go. She's off. Like I said, all those bolts are just, they're 5/16 head. They all look like that. They're all the same length. So just keep them together. Right now I'm just stacking everything over here, kind of placing it in order, and just laying the bolts beside it. I'll probably put them in bags or something when I'm all done. It's really getting hot if you can't tell. Now you may be asking yourself, John, why would you be removing all of that? Well, a couple of reasons. First of all, when I go to paint it, I'd just rather not have that stuff on there. But also, that's how you get the fenders off. If you've ever tried to remove one of these fenders in the salvage yard and you just can't seem to get the front of it off, that's why, because that plastic piece goes over the front of these pegs. And so it's got to come off. There's not a lot holding it on. It's pretty simple to do. But now that I got all of this off, I can take the fenders off. And I've had people request showing that before, because if you've never done one before, they're a little bit tricky. Not too bad. Maybe that's because I've done them before. I don't know. But it's just nuts and bolts, boys and girls. The first thing that you have to do is get everything under the hood that's attached to the fender, get it unattached, because you want to remove the fenders. And there's not really all that much. If you get to looking around, there's just a few bolts holding shit on here and there. It's not that bad, and so I'm not going to show removing all this stuff. It's, you know, just look, you'll see it. But I will show you where all the bolts are that hold the fender on momentarily. So after a brief timeout, a refreshment change, and a change of wardrobe into something much cooler. It's only like 80 degrees in here, but it is really muggy. It's hot. Anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and remove all of this stuff under the hood that's attached to the fenders on both sides, and then I will bring you back in and show you where all the bolts are that hold these fenders on. On the passenger side fender, there really isn't a lot to remove. There'll be a stud like this, and this outside nut comes off. This screws into the fender and tightens down, you know, like that. Then this comes off, and it has this on it, and this coming from your battery cable is also on it. Those come off, so take the stud out, you're probably going to have to reuse that. And then your starter solenoid, held on with two, what the hell are they? Held on with 2 little 5/16 screws, like that. There's one there, and then there's one on further up under there. Just take those 2 out, you can leave everything connected. Then you just have to pop out this harness here and back here, and that is pretty much it. So then the next thing you're going to want to do, lighting probably isn't very good here, but down under the fender there is a bolt. You probably can't see, but it's on the inside of the fender, right up back in here. I'm not sure what size it is yet, I'll let you know, but that has to come out. And your liner here should be, it's screwed in all around the top with little tiny, just like sheet metal screws. I don't remember what size those are either. I know on my green truck I took each one of those out, I just put a pair of vice grips on them and twisted them out. I'll try to let you know what size all that stuff is here momentarily. Still hot. There's that little bolt that was up inside the fender well, right up in there, that holds the wheel well liner up against the fender. Little booger to get out, he didn't want to come out very bad. And that was a, where am I? That was a 5/16 as well, a little tiny thing as far as the head on it. I'm going to take all the little screws out that attach it up around the wheel well, and that mud flap may be in the way. Well, let's have some fun. Some of us have been working hard trying to get this truck apart, while others, not so much. Hardest working dog in show business, my ass. She got the right idea though. Anyway, whoever put these mud flaps on this thing didn't ever want them to come off. Good Lord. bolted them clear through the lip of the fender and the wheel well liner thing. And luckily, the truck was rusted out enough I could get on the nut from this side. However, the other side I don't think is quite as bad, but I might be able to knock a hole in it. Yeah, I probably can. Now with the lovely mud flaps off, I can start taking this fender off. What you're gonna have, and I took all these little screws out with vice grips. There's one more up under there. There's actually 2 bolts. I don't know if you can see them or not. There's one there, and one back there. And then back here, I'm not sure if there's another one or if that just, I think there's another one back under here somewhere. Anyway, just gotta find all the screws and shit. I'm gonna have to take this damn step off now to get this fender off, I think, or at least maybe I can just take a bolt out, I'm not sure. But those, and then that one bolt up under here, and then this liner. Now it's supposed to just kind of come down. I don't know what's holding it up here. This stuff, I guess. It's not attached to the fender anymore. You can see right, that's where that bolt was, down there. I think I'm disattached. Don't see anything. I'll show you where the bolts, all the bolts are that hold this fender on. I just got done taking that step off the passenger side because I couldn't get the fender off with that on there. It was attached to it, so I just ended up taking the whole thing off, which I was going to do anyway. Now if I can remember where all the bolts are. I know there's 2 up in the front. Let's see. Where'd they go? There's one, you can see it right down there. There's another one to the left of it, right over there, kind of under the horn. If I can get down there so you can see it. Anyway, there's one, you can see it from the front. There's one that attaches right there. There's another one that attaches down there. You can see the head of it poking through. And you can get up with an extension 5/16, I'm not sure. Yeah, they're a little bit bigger than that, I think. You can see it in through there too. You can pull this inner fender wheel well liner down, and with an extension you can finagle your way in there and get on those. Those 2 have to come out. There's this big one right down there. That's got to come out. And then you open the door. This is one that people have trouble with for some reason, at least finding it sometimes. Okay, the bottom bolt, if you look right between, look right in the hole of that hinge, there's a bolt down there, there we go, at the bottom that you have to remove. I'm not sure what size it is, 10 millimeter I think, or something like that. So, gotta remove that one, that big one on the bottom, out here, and then these 2 up front, and that fender will come off. So that is what I am going to do now. Well, I need to take a little break. It's hot, but the last thing that you're gonna have to do is take this, well shoot, you gotta take these 2 bolts out as well, which are, I think they're 13. These 2 are 13 millimeter. You gotta take these 2 out, and then take out it's also a 13, take out the bottom of this spring for your hood. And I think your hood will stay up with just one of these attached, I think. And this fender's ready to come off. Well, surprise, the hood won't stay up all by itself, but there's also, of course, 2 more bolts right up here in the front. One right there and one over here. And those need to come out, and then that fender will come off, which I will demonstrate momentarily. Now I believe this front fender is ready to come off. The way you want to take it off, if I remember right, you want to pull it just a little bit, if you can, this way, and then you got to slide it forward to get over these 2 pegs out here in the front, because it has to go over those, and then it comes out. Should come out pretty easily, I think. If your fender inner wheel well molding isn't attached in here, I don't think it is. Yes, it is. And yes, it is still hot. It's about 90 degrees and it is humid as hell. It is really hot. I got it so I can get this fender off. Now I ended up having to, I'll show you here. I ended up taking that front white bottom piece off, and all you do is you take out those front two bolts that are up in here that you get to from this way, and then there's a couple like Christmas tree connector things that pop down through this and hold it on. So you gotta, actually they pop up, you gotta push them down through. Kind of a pain, especially with this bumper being tweaked. And then I went ahead and I pulled the bumper, or not the bumper, I went ahead and I pulled the fender forward off of those pegs, and it should come off now. Ta-da! I'm just taking this on out of here, I think. And that's what you're left with when you get the fender off. So I'm going to go ahead and start working on this other fender and get it off, and then pull the hood off. If that doesn't sound like fun, I don't know what does. Well, with a little bit of finagling, I got the driver's side off. It fought me a little bit, being that bumper is tweaked, and it was kind of pinched in there, and I got it out of there. Anyway, there it is. That radiator support really should be replaced, but I'm not going to do it. It doesn't look real good, and I mean it's okay. Where it bolts on, it's solid. Where it bolts on down here and over under the radiator and everything's solid, but just right in here, it's not very good. These kind of wobble around anyway when you take the fenders off, but I'm not replacing the radiator support on it. It's not in the budget, and I'm just not doing it. So anyway, got both fenders off. The only thing left to do to get the hood off is I got to take this wiring harness down, which is just clipped in there. Take it down, and then take these 4 bolts out here. Those two and those two for a total of 4. Well, the hood is all undone, so I guess it's time to lift this sucker off of here. And just kind of slide it off. Being that I'm not keeping it, I don't give a shit about it. And there we go. I'm gonna go put this over there. Front fenders and hood are off. I'm hot, I'm tired, and I'm probably gonna call it a day. And there it sits, and you can see how the fenders were so rotted. I didn't even bother taking that screw out. I just broke the rust and took it off. But inside the doors and everything look pretty good. Probably in my next video, I am going to take the fenders and the hood, turn them upside down, sand them down, and paint the inside of them. I'm going to base and clear coat both the inside and outside of these fenders. If I have enough, I don't know if I have enough clear. Good question. So that is what it takes to get the front fenders and the hood off of one of these trucks. It's not terribly hard, it's time consuming, mainly because the bolts don't want to come out, but it's probably going to be that way with any vehicle, especially one from up here in the north that's been driven in the salt for 20 years, and things just don't want to come apart. But it really isn't too bad. You just got to take your time, know it's not going to go real fast, and you'll be okay. You'll get them off. A lot left to do to this truck. I'm going to have quite a few videos coming about it, and hopefully be a little more interesting than pulling the fenders and the hood. But I have had people request that, especially on the fenders, where the bolts are and how to remove them. And it is a little tricky if you've never done it before. Give it a thumbs up, please subscribe, comment down below, and we'll catch you next time. Bye bye.